Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on which part of the world you're seeing my video from. This is Enuani Cultural Forum, where we promote the rich cultural heritage of the Igbo people. Nonu, Noani, Ndewonu. Tata, nye jekogene bayanya bụ what holds Igbo people together. What are those things that hold Ndi Igbo together? The Igbo people are usually very tightly knit. Don't mind the little voices of disagreement that you hear. The Igbo people are among the most united ethnic groups in the world. Anywhere you find an Igbo person, anywhere you find Igbo people, whether it is just 3 or 4 of them, they usually live in harmony and unity. Only place where you even see a little touch of disunity is back home here in Nigeria, the Igbo homeland. Once they are outside the shores of Nigeria, they are so united that they begin to draw crowd. Other ethnic groups begin to melt, begin to collapse their structure and join up with their Igbo brothers and sisters. I have a particular case that I posted yesterday of one of our brother Nosa Osunde. One of my followers here sent the screenshot to me. He's from Edo State, precisely Benin City. He doesn't hide that he's from Edo State. He doesn't hide that he's a Benin boy. But he's contesting for the position to be one of the ESCO members at Igbo Unite Association, an association of Igbo people in Atlanta, United States of America. So we are looking today at what usually holds Ndi Igbo together. One of the things that hold Ndi Igbo together is our value system. Yes, our value system, a shared story. Our value system, there are things that we hold very sacred in Igbo land. Even if some of them are beginning to bow to acculturation, we still hold them very, very dear. There are things that we do not joke with as Ndi Igbo. It is a collective value system that you see it practiced here, you will also see it practiced here in different parts of Igbo land. There are things that we hold very sacred, one of which is brotherly love and association. Nnoko or Nzuko Umunna. Every Igbo people you see, they usually have Umunna, like a lineage elders council. Otu Umunne. They are usually governed by gerontocracy if they are in the village setting. If they are in a city or urban setting, they elect a leader, but they still pay respect, especially when they want to break kola. They still pay respect to the oldest member in the midst. So Ndi Igbo have a shared value system. Value that includes respect for hard work. Ndi Igbo have this culture of hard work and communal growth. If an Igbo person is involved in, for instance, the making of slippers, I'm just using this as an instance, and his shop is located in Okoto village in Nasarawa state, before the next 5 years, be sure to find 10 or 11 of such shops. If his business is thriving, he will invite more people to come and do that same business in that same area, because he believes in growth. He believes in bringing in people to come and thrive in that field that he is involved in. That is Ndi Igbo for you. So this spirit of communalism, this spirit of let's grow together, is what attracts other ethnic groups to admire Ndi Igbo. Because trust me, if there were other ethnic groups, you just hear that one of our brothers is in the north doing business. What kind of business? Nobody knows. But if it is an Igbo man, it just takes him to go home one Christmas. He will return with 5 boys, 4 boys. At the end of every time, he will settle them, they will go and start up, settle them, they will go and start up. This continued to the extent that Even Harvard Business School has a course called the Igbo Apprenticeship System. Boy, all the way to Harvard, they have a course called Igbo Apprenticeship System, which people who are studying business in the business school must have to study. This is how global this practice of communalism in business has gone, and it is a practice initiated and made worldwide by Igbo. Remember, we are looking at what are those communal values that has sold Igbo to the world, those things that hold Igbo together. Another of which is the value for human life. Igbo so value human life that if one person in a family commits murder, people in that family will run away. In my community, 7 years. They will have to run away for 7 years from that community. That is why most times, after the 7 years, some people may not want to return for fear of discrimination. And they will even have to carry out a ritual called Ekwaochu. So to take one single human life is very difficult because Ndi Igbo regard blood as very sacred. We believe that blood is very, very sacred. So we value human life in Igbo land. This is one of the cultural values or communal values that hold Ndi Igbo together. We so value life like this that one is not even permitted to take his or her own life. One is also not permitted to put another through a life that is not dignifying. That is why some of the videos you saw that I shared lately, Ndi Igbo of old, who were captured here, some of them were deceived that they are going to a distant land, were taken to Denver Creeks. And when they realized that they were brought into a place where they will have to serve as Oshu, they had no option than to decide, since this river brought us here, this river will take us back. That is why they say the maxim of the Igbo man is give me liberty or death. One of the core values of Ndi Igbo is liberty, value for human life, communal growth, and respect for elders. Some people think because we don't lie down to prostrate and greet, we don't have respect. Not at all. In my community, in other parts of Igbo land, respect flows, it is reciprocal, but respect for elders is very paramount. It is so important in my hometown and other parts of Igbo land that we have a system, a welfare system that takes care of the elderly. We call it Ishuano. The younger members of the family take care of the older members of the family by presenting meat to them. Now, in this age where there is no longer meat presentation, it has been replaced by other practices. If you can no longer give meat, you can give cash. But the younger ones in our communal system take care of the older ones. So Ndi Igbo have respect for elders, even without lying down on the ground, prostrating to greet. We have a system that values, acknowledges, and takes care of the elderly. It is called Ishuano. We also have respect for the women folk in Igbo land. Every single system, every single institution that you find in Igbo land is also replicated for the women folk. Is it kingship? Wherever you have an Obi, a king, most of the communities have Omu, a female king as well, who takes care of the economy of the community. When you have Opala, we have Ada. When we have more for the male ones, we have the female versions of masquerade, the feminine masquerades as well. Even if it is against our practice for women to see or be involved in masquerades, we still have feminine masquerades to represent women in that system. One of these feminine masquerades, or I should say two, the feminine spirit is a feminine mask. We also have Adamma, which is a more recent version, a feminine mask as well. So the Igbo people have a strong value system that recognizes both gender, male and female. Some people who are either not grounded in Igbo culture or who are revisionists have brought up the idea that Igbo culture is misogynistic in that it does not accommodate women. And I laugh, where did these people grow up? In the Igbo traditional system, there are things that can only be inherited by men. There are also things that can only be inherited by women. For instance, I don't know anything about how my mother's jewelries, how all her jewelry, how all her clothing and her belongings were dispersed. It is for her female children, who will be led by the Ada to share. And if perchance my mother has a house, of course she did, the house belongs to the last male son in the family. So how a man's thing is shared, how a man's property is shared, is different from how a woman's property is shared in Igbo culture. In my own community, for instance. So women are not disinherited, but they are differently inherited. The inheritance that goes to a woman is different from the inheritance that goes to a man. Usually, landed property do not go to a woman for a reason that she is now a part and parcel of her husband's family. So usually when you hear people say after Igbo culture disinherits women, they are talking about landed property. And most importantly, they call it Umunna land, Umunna, the menfolk land. If for any reason a woman is married and marriage did not work out for her and she returns to her father's house, can she be given land to farm on? Yes. Through her brothers, through her uncles. So the Igbo value system recognizes and acknowledges the role of women. I have mentioned that every single institution you have men, there is a parallel institution that also has women. There are communal issues that only the men can resolve. There are also communal issues that the men do not have jurisdiction over. For instance, in the resolution of a case of adultery, men have no part to play in it in my hometown. It is strictly the jurisdiction of women to investigate, to determine who is at fault, to propitiate, and to punish. It is the women folk that do this. Widowhood practices and all other things related to women are conducted by the women folk. This is the shared value system that holds the Igbo together. So when outsiders look at this and admire it, they would want to be part of the Igbo system. Like I said earlier, one of our brothers from Edo State, and of course so many other people from different cultures, I have seen an Urobo woman who is promoting Igbo culture. She says she is Igbo. We will not blame her. I even had a screenshot of a particular person who has listed how his community makes use of Opaluku system. But they are Urobo. He is insisting that he is not Urobo, he is Igbo. I am not from there. But these people practice our shared cultural practices. And they want to identify as one of us. And somebody is saying we shouldn't welcome them. That is not Igbo practice. In Igbo land, especially in my hometown, as I usually use as an example, because my hometown of Ubuluku is one of the cultural epicenters of Igbo land. And of course, one of the foremost communities in this present place called Anioma. We believe that if a person admires our culture and wants to be part of us, we should not deny them that right. If they have shown themselves worthy, we welcome them. We do a ceremony called Assimilation, for them, and they are welcomed into our lineage. Now they begin to forbid what we forbid, eat what we eat, respect our market days, respect whatever we call sacred. We begin to intermarry with them, they intermarry with us. 100 years later, these people have become one of us. But if their children begin to come out, as some people are doing now, to say, our ancestors are from Igala, they are never Igbo, our ancestors are from Bini, our ancestors are from Yoruba, that is their own. What I usually tell them is, if you feel what your ancestors did when we welcomed them was just a mere ritual, why not go ahead and eat what we forbid? Let's see how it will pan out. None of them have ever taken this challenge. Eat that thing that our community forbids, that your father swore not to eat again. One of them is AD, civet cat. We do not eat civet cat. Some communities have things that they forbid. Asaba forbids obono. They do not eat obono. Ibuzo forbids the posh rats. That is the one we call the West African giant rat, Ewi. They do not eat it. Every community has one or two things they do not. In Ogwashuku, Obida forbids Efi. They have a shrine called Obida that forbids Efi. Everybody has one or two things that they call totem. If they feel they are not one of us, why not go and try out our totem as dessert or as meal and see how it pans out? These are the shared cultural practices that hold only Igbo together. Okay? So in a community that forbids, for instance, AD, everybody in that community will not eat AD. If you ask some, they don't know the story behind. What they just know is that they grew up knowing that in our community, we don't eat civet cat. It is a shared culture. These are the things that hold Ndi Igbo together. A shared value system. We also believe in Igbo land that Nezia Fakego. How does this apply? In some Igbo communities, somebody can show up very rich, very wealthy, and people begin to worship this person's money. In the real Igbo culture and tradition that we know, they will first ask, what does he do for a living? What does she do for a living? If this person fails to show clearly that this is what I do, this is how I earn my living, people begin to avoid that person. People begin to refrain from associating with that person. They don't want to eat with him. They don't want to drink with him because they don't want to inherit whatever cause or ocho that is following that person around. Hence, we say, Eziafa Kego. And we also insist, Na Fadema Weswano Fiaza. These are Igbo sayings. And when I say these proverbs, it looks like just a proverb. It is not a proverb. It is a mindset. It is a thought line that Ndi Igbo have taken time to carve out and then bring it out as a proverb. When we say, Eziafa Kego, a good name is better than riches, it teaches our children that no matter how rich somebody is, if that person doesn't have a good name, all those wealth, all those riches they mean nothing. They are meaningless. Similar to the Bible saying, what shall it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his own soul? Okay? Now, these Igbo sayings of Ezia Pakego, Afademma Kwesuano Fiaza, for instance, is this. Afademma, it is only a good name that humans can choose to share with a bush animal. Awolo. That is lion. People want to answer the name lion. He's a lion. She's a lion. Because of the attitude of a lion. Ago. Because of the attitude of the leopard. People want to be associated with it. Eni. Because of the lifestyle of Eni. Nobody wants to be called Mbe. Because of the trickery of Mbe. These are the shared values. So we are looking at What are those things that Ndi Igbo are known for? Those shared cultural values. If you're just seeing this video, or if you have been watching but you don't know what to do, I want to insist that you either drop a comment, double tap on this video to like it, or you go and hit the subscribe button if you are not yet a subscriber. That is, if this is the first time you're seeing any of our videos. This is Enuani Cultural Forum, where we promote the rich cultural heritage of Ndi Igbo. And I am inviting you to please subscribe to our channel, double tap on the video to give it thumbs up, and please share to your audience. Invite as many people as you can to come and be a part of this live stream. Today we are looking at the shared cultural values of the Igbo people. What are those things that we share as a people, that when we do them, you know that this person is Igbo, this person is an Igbo person, this one is an Igbo person, and that is why he or she does this. Let me read one of the comments. Say, to kill or cut off the head, to cut off the head, to cut off the body, or to cut off the head. Okay. Let me read. Maybe you have a former comment that I didn't read. Okay, Cheesy, please help me to explain what you're trying to say so that I will understand. Okay, so like I was saying, we have a shared cultural practice, a shared value system that today is even at risk. All right. So as we always know, or as most of us who have been followers here know, this is an intellectual platform. So most times we look at an intellectual work. And today we're going to be looking at sustainable intervention plans for Igbo cultural region of Nigeria. This is the work of Bato, Ekweruo, and Nnezi Oduma Olugo. The topic is sustainable intervention plans for Igbo cultural region of Nigeria. And then the work goes to look at the Igbo tribes of Nigeria over the years. He said over the years, their distinct way of living have further accentuated their culture. This paper discusses Igbo cultural landscape region, which comprises of rural autonomous communities made of clusters of kindred and villages, in spite of the existence of the township serving as trade, political and administrative centers for more than 1 century. The rate of urbanization has been very slow, thereby affecting the development of the communities physically, economically and socially at astonishing rates, consuming farmlands and traditional community boundaries. This paper is aimed at creating awareness on the unique regional growth pattern in Igbo land, heavily dependent on cultural and natural heritage, for purpose of determining adaptable regional planning strategies for such vibrant region. It has examined the key issues and suggested a way forward to a more sustainable development of the region. We are talking about the Igbo region now. Things that we can do to ensure that our region sustains her development culturally, our cultural development. One of the sustainable intervention plans that was mentioned here is education plan. Okay, massive public enlightenment and education plan to sensitize the indigenes and other stakeholders on the issue of the consequences. Journalists and churches must be part of the resource agents. 2, introduce from next year basic environmental studies in secondary education with emphasis on environmental degradation so that the young ones will grow with the knowledge. 3, the general studies program in tertiary institutions must carry at least 1 semester course on environmental degradation. This particular paper examines environmental degradation in Igbo land. Of course, you know our land is prone to erosion, but that is not our interest. Our interest is in the shared cultural values of the Igbo people. Those things that we hold very sacred in Igbo land, that if we do them, somebody will know that this thing this person has done is what Ndi Igbo are known for. Now, key aspects of Igbo erosion, that is the key aspects of cultural erosion in Igbo land, are highlighted as follows. A shift from communitarianism to individualism. You remember I talked about community lifestyle of Ndi Igbo, that team spirit of let's do it together. Umunna. It has shifted now a bit to individualism. The traditional Igbo philosophy of onye member, solidarity, obaka, azubu ike ogu, onye anya na nwanne ya, and I am because we are. That principle of I am because we are is being replaced by selfish individualism. That Igbo principle, core Igbo value ejiri mara ndị Igbo. Na ndị Igbo na-eme oya ya na nwanne ya. Ọnụnụ ube nwanne agba n'ọsọ. Ihe ndị ahụ eji wee mara ndị Igbo are beginning to erode. Ihe ndị ahụ eji wee mara ndị Igbo. Na onye Igbo kwunu, Igbo si na ife kwunu, ife akwudebe ya. When something stands, another stands beside it to support it. Even the age where Malandi Igbo are no longer as it used to be. We are now beginning to have a shift from communalism to individualism. And that is not our lifestyle before. If something happens and I say, I beg, ban, no, it's not our own. Let them come and try it with us. We forgot that when it happens to one, touch one should be touch all. They say, it's happening in Onitsha. It's not Oka. If let it come and happen in Oka, let them see what will happen. All Igbo land, we are beginning to shift from communalism to individualism. Loss of respect for elders and tradition. This one is another very important topic, okay? Youth engagement with Western norms has led to a decline in respect for elders and traditional society. Like one of our brothers in Anyoma here recently came out with a video on social media to say all these hungry traditional rulers, all these hungry kings. What? No king in Anyoma is hungry. If it is hunger, no king in Igbo land should be hungry. The king is the custodian of land. He has a large expanse of farm. Can't be hungry. In terms of money, they have money. The community has a welfare structure for them. Even the state government pays them very well. So they can't have a hungry king. So if one boy can come out like that and insult the king, then nobody else is left in the community that will not be insulted. So we have now seen a spate of young people because of their interaction with the outside world. Once they tell you, bros, with all due respect, once they say with all due respect, expect an insult. Expect an insult, especially from this generation Z that we are seeing, these Gen Z people. Once they say, bros, with all due respect, know that the person is going to insult you. It is all over social media. So that culture of respect for elders is no longer there. That is one area of our value system that we will have to look at. We'll have to address. Please double tap on this video to give it thumbs up, okay? Materialism over morality is one very, very important aspect. In fact, it's so rampant that somebody comes to the community now with material things, with money, is awarded a chieftaincy title. Sometimes even a traditional chieftaincy title. Sometimes they dethrone the person who is occupying that title and give it to the younger person that has money. Ego. We have now moved from morality to materialism, which is very, very wrong. A society that celebrates money, irrespective of the source of this money, can never stand. We are now beginning to downplay people with high moral standard, people with integrity, at the expense of our future, because the children are watching. If the society does not reward hard work the way we used to, does not reward strong moral character like we used to, before we have a ceremony that after a wedding, after a young girl is wedded, the next ceremony is Imewabo, the flowering of the young girl. If she ends up being a virgin, she brings honor to her family. If she's not, the opposite is the case. Such ceremonies are no longer practiced, maybe because it is archaic, but it is our culture. We had a culture that celebrated morality over materialism. But today, our society celebrates materialism over morality, and it is very wrong. Prestige is now often awarded based on wealth rather than character, violating the traditional Igbo omenana, which is a moral code. They check the person, poor man. Even when a person who comes with money doesn't have any source of income, comes with big money, is talking nonsense, everybody will be clapping. That is not the way or the lifestyle of our ancestors. Our ancestors will be looking at all this and be laughing. We have derailed. We have to trace back our step. Please help me to share this video to your audience. I'm going to do so right away. I have successfully shared the video to my audience, and I am pleading with you to video to my audience, and I am pleading with you to please do same. Also, double tap on the video to give it thumbs up so that it can rank better on the algorithm. My aim of sharing it to my audience on social media is so that I can have more people watching, and I am inviting you to please do same. Also, double tap on the video to give it thumbs up. We have just people liking the video, and we've had over 40 something people at some point watching. So we're looking at Igbo, and we're saying those things are beginning to erode. One of them that is now becoming very alarming is language and cultural atrophy. I'm an asshole and big beke, but I will explain. The Igbo language, folk tales, and traditional greetings are increasingly degraded or disregarded by the younger generation. When I was in the university, I had a few friends of mine and classmates who are from my hometown as well. When we are speaking Igbo and passing, some people say, you people are still speaking this your nonsense. Don't you know you are now in the university? We will just laugh. By talking and conversing that way in our dialect, we have met more people from our region, our part of Igbo land, Western Igbo land, and we have been able to form associations with it. Because every time we are talking and we are walking by, we are speaking Igbo language. We are speaking our Enuani. Some people will just see us and turn. Biane, you people should come. Please, are you from Delta? Yes. Igbo speaking part of Delta, I say yes. We'll become friends. So, the erosion of our language now that people no longer even want to be associated with it. If as I am doing this content, now Igbo, most people will not even be watching. Once they see it, they will slide away. But I have chosen to do it this way. There are days that we speak Igbo all through. There are days we will be mixing it up. Because Igbo was why. Igbo. If not for Igbo language, I wouldn't be here. If not for Igbo culture, I won't be here. I don't know who else I would rather be. I'm not Yoruba. I'm not Bini. I'm not Hausa. I'm not Nupe. I'm not Ishekiri. I'm not Isoko. I'm not Ijo. I am an Igbo person. So why can't I speak that Igbo language? My father wasn't just speaking Igbo. If you ask him a question, he responds to you and gives you an extra proverb to back up what he has told you. So it will be shameful of me to lose that language, not to be able to pass on that language to my own children in a better way, sir. Okay, so a better way that I mean is the documented version of it, because our parents didn't write down things. Impact of technology and ICT is one of our problems. Okay, that is when you use it wrongly. Information and communication technology, ICT, has contributed to cultural cannibalization, where foreign cultures consume local traditions. There are things that in the past, you don't just come and do them. You have to ask questions. But because we have seen other cultures where it is done freely, people just come and do them. These days, you see a young girl who wants to get married. She invites the man who wants to marry her. He's supposed to come to her family 3 times. They come the first day. They ask, who are you? They just like a family. They are supposed to come 3 times. These 3 times have different meanings. Okay? We have Ekwakanozo, Ishoi, Mayanko. Ekwakanozo is knocking on the door. Next one is Ishoi, making friends. Third one is Mayankowa, explaining what you are now here for, which is introduction. But a girl comes, brings a man to her father's house the first day, which is Ekwakanozo, to knock on the door. And you see her post on social media, traditional marriage done and dusted. Done and dusted in 1 day or 2 days. So this generation is very funny. And I think it's because of this ICT. They're able to go online immediately, snap picture and post and say traditional marriage done and dusted. You can't even done and dusted marriage in 2 years in the olden days. There are still rites you are supposed to perform that you have not performed. There are still rites I'm supposed to perform in my own marriage that I know that I have not even performed. Just one rite remaining. I'm not the one holding it. So there are rites you are supposed to perform that will take time before you go and perform them. Not when you knock on the door and say, hey, you have done marriage done and dusted. Even introduction is you introducing yourself. This is who I am. You have not done it. There's a way they call it in Owerri. Ipamayuku or something like that. In our place, we call it Ibanku. Ibamanyo. The major ceremony, the big ceremony. If not done, you say traditional marriage done and dusted. Not even, he finally comes to my father's house to ask for my hand in marriage. You just say it's done and dusted. So when you say it's done and dusted, the man has it in his mind that he has completed your marriage. He has finished marrying you. So next thing you will see is church wedding. Then during the church wedding, they will say it's church wedding stroke traditional. What is stroke? If you're doing your church wedding, you do your church wedding. It has no business with traditional marriage. If you're doing traditional marriage, you do your traditional marriage. It has no business with your church wedding. You say, we'll wed in church, we'll use the traditional as reception. Stop deceiving yourself. Stop deceiving yourself. If you want to get married the traditional way, go and marry your wife traditional way. Then you later go to church and do your church blessing. Or you do your wedding too if you have the financial resources to do so. But just know that you're just doing a double wedding. There are people that did double wedding, people like us. Maybe because that's what the woman wants. You just go ahead and do it. But you're doing double traditional marriage. The other one is the traditional marriage of the British colonizers. So, disruption of traditional rights. Like I just discussed, marriage right it has been bastardized. Marriage right has been bastardized. That one is a no-go area. May God have mercy on anybody that comes to marry any of my children. Or a marriage that I am the oldest man, the priest in that marriage, and I bless wine and give them to give to you, and you pour it away on the ground. My dear, I will just turn my back and leave that premises. I will just carry my things as an elder and walk out of there and wash my hands and feet away from such abomination. You will see couple. The young girl will come to him and kneel down and say, this is the man I want to marry, and give you the drink. He just pretend and then pour it away. So our traditional rights, marriage rights, funeral rights, chieftaincy rights, all the rights that we do, rights of passage into manhood, rights of passage into womanhood, like I described earlier, all of them have been destroyed. They are barbaric, right? That is what the colonizers made people to think, engineered them to believe that our ways of life was evil and bad and therefore should be discarded. Now they have introduced their own way of life. Those are their own ways of life. That is their own way of life that they have been introduced to us. That is better than the ways of our own ancestors. Ndị mụ na anyị na-anụchasị nwaanyị nụọ 1, 2, 3, 4 na-ebi without problem. Ndị abịasị anyị na otu nwaanyị ka ị ga-anụ. Ịnụchazi otu nwaanyị ahụ ihe sọrọ gị were ndụ gị na-eme. Nwaanyị na-anụzi ibe ya, nwoke na-anụ ibe ya. Nkịta na-anụda mmadụ sef. The people that told us that the culture and traditional way of life of our ancestors adịghị mma. So marriage rights have been influenced. Naming rights, oh God, that one, it's your pastor that even names your children. Okay, that's how it is done now. I gave all my children their names. No one came from any church. If I write down the name that my child will bear, you go to that place you want to do baptism and give them that name. And other customs are undergoing or suffering from Western influence. All our cultures. You see somebody's name, what is their name? Say his name is Stephanie. Even the ones their parents managed to give good names. Chukwuemeka. He has removed this Chukwuemeka and turned it to Emi. E-M-Y. Dropped Chukwuemeka and officially changed his name to Emi. Chidiebube is now Chido. C-H-I-D-O, Chido. Chido and Sons. They have forsaken the names, meaningful names their Igbo parents gave to them and adopted a name that will sound Western so that they can fit in. It is a self-imposed inferiority complex so that they can fit in. If your name is Azubuike, it becomes Zubi. If your name is Chibuike, it becomes Chibaik. They have changed their names. If your name is Chizara, it's now Zara. If your name is Kasi Emobi, it's now Kasi. They don't want to bear the names as given to them by their Igbo parents. Their meaningful names have been dropped for names like Becky, Stephanie. It's so sad, but there's nothing we can do. There are diverse areas of erosion of Igbo culture, of Igbo cultural values. Areas like globalization and westernization. The adoption of foreign norms as superior to local traditions is a problem. Is a problem, as I explained earlier. The people who told you no they mean no one now but and no ise one vana no one now. So which one is the greater sin? That you married as many wives as Abraham, Isaac, Jacob married, or that you are now as a man marrying your fellow man, as a woman marrying your fellow woman? I don't know which one is more barbaric or which one is more against the Bible or against God, against nature. Urbanization, migration to cities has broken down traditional village communal bonds. I have found them mad before. They are tightly knit, especially the age grade system. But now if you see somebody who is in the same age grade, it will say, leave Emeka, they are the village people. So because Emeka is in the village, he's doing well in that village. He has children. He doesn't beg for food. But because he's in the village, he's not in your class anymore. Remember, one day you will close your eyes in death. If he's your younger one, that will conduct your funeral. And so that Igbo communal lifestyle system has been affected by urbanization. Formal education and religion is also a problem. Historically, colonial education and the introduction of foreign religions alter the traditional worldview. Most of the Efulefus we have in our midst, especially the biggest of them disturbing Igbo land now, is a professor. So the more they go to school, the more stupid they become, because the education is not for our betterment. It is an education system that was designed by your colonizer to make you an Efulefu. So if you are not wise, you will be led astray by that education system. But if you are wise, while you are going through that education system, you will have a boundary, you have a balance. You don't throw away who you are in order to become what you don't know. In order to become what we want to become, we'll be careful not to lose ourselves. So many people have lost themselves in pursuit of an identity the Igbo man described for us that is very, very good. So the impact on Igbo society is very, very diverse. One of them is increased crime rate. When I was talking about our value for life the other time, I know some people will be laughing and be saying, what does this guy say? Is he not in Nigeria? Does he not know that in Igbo land, na ndị mmadụ ndị a na-akpọ UGM and all of that, na na-egbu ndị mmadụ na Igbo? Why is he saying that the Igbo people hold life very sacred? My dear, that is how it was in Igbo land. But it's no longer the way it is. Ndị mmadụ na-egbuzi ibefa na Igbo. Ndị mmadụ na-emefuzi ọbala mmadụ na Igbo. When in the past, you are not even permitted to take your own life. Ndị mmadụ na-take the life onye ọzọ na Igbo without ịgba ọsọ ọchụ, without ịkwụ ọchụ, without any sort of thing at all. So our land has been defiled. Maka ihe ọbụla gbasara igbu mmadụ na igbu ọchụ is an abomination. No nsọ anị, onye ahụ emelụọla anị. Onye melụla anị, anị ga-ebido na-achụ ya ọsọ. Onye ọbụla melụ anị ga na-achụ ya ọsọ until he goes for propitiation. Ịkwa ọchụ onye ọ ga-eme. But it doesn't happen these days. There are some people that will be counting how many lives they have wasted. So one of the things that has happened to us in this cultural erosion is the increase in crime. People don't even see it as crime anymore, because once the person feels guilty, twice a little guilty, thrice begins to see it as normal thing. Disunity, erosion of our kinship, obi-nwanne, kinship ties, specifically umunna. It weakens the local support system. The local support system. In the past, in my own community, because I usually use my community as an example, because that's where I grew up. Excuse me. Where I grew up in my hometown of Ubuluku, in my lineage of Umuodukobi. If anybody wants to get married, the entire lineage will contribute money. Some will contribute drink. They will contribute cola. They will contribute all the necessary things that I will be needing to get married and give to me. And I will go and get married. If, for instance, I lose an in-law and I'm going there for a tuni, that is condolence visit, this same thing will be done for me. If any of my children is getting married or I'm taking a second wife, they will do this same thing for me. This is our culture. Or I'm taking a title. It is a communal system of support that is known all over Igbo land. We call it Ogodino Yenuno Odenanilo. One should have pride, prestige, regard at home as the one will also have it outside. It is believed that when you have prestige at home, when you are honored at home, you will definitely be honored outside. Not when you are honored outside and you are dishonored at home. We say, Ogodino Yenuno Odenanilo. So, that support system that comes from communal lifestyle It's gone. We no longer have it. That system of is no longer there. Instead of your hands to touch the ground, you hold it on your knee. That your knee is your siblings, your kinsmen and kinswomen. The surrounding trees near the ububo tree does not allow ububo to fall to the ground flat. It will hang. That is what communal lifestyle of Ndi Igbo is all about. A support system. Knowing that one person can never have it all. So that when you are lacking, somebody else augments. When somebody else is lacking, you augment. Either with your resources, with your time, with anything you have, with your skill. That is the Igbo people's fundamental, basic lifestyle. But we are beginning to lose it. We are beginning to lose it. And that is one of the aims of this video, to rekindle this love. If you have family people who are related to you that you have not heard from, reach out to them. They may not want you to give them money, but show that you care. Igbo say, when you hear the shout of your brother, you reach out. You ask, how are you doing? This has been Enuani Cultural Forum, and today we looked at thoroughly what holds Ndi Igbo together. There are so many things that hold us together, but one of them is what we just highlighted. And we have highlighted some of them that are going into extinction, that we would want us to revive. Because as we said, when you leave your mouth, the Hamatan will tear it for you. All these are core Igbo values. All these are core Igbo world views put into proverbs to guide our lifestyle and shield us from mistakes. Just like we said, or just like we have been teaching, Igbo people are known to support each other. It is a communal system, a chain. This is an Igbo community. We have streamed for close to an hour. Look at the number of likes on the video you're watching. Look at the number of people watching the video as well. It is just a clear demonstration of what we have been saying. We must learn to rekindle that love, that support system for each other. Over 1 hour of a stream, 4 likes, 40-something viewers. And I've been saying, please double tap on this video to give it thumbs up. What you have told the algorithm is simple. The video is meaningless and therefore should not be promoted. But if a video is liked, engaged with, it triggers something in the algorithm to say, let's push this video out. So we must learn to support each other. We must learn to rekindle that spirit for which Ndi Igbo are known. Thank you so much for watching this video, for following me up to this very moment. I'm going to end the video, but I've been able to share this topic with you and share this time, close to an hour with you. And I'm very grateful for your support. Do have a very pleasant day, and I will see you in my next video. But before then, I would like to encourage you, if you are not yet a subscriber to our channel, click the link, go to our channel and hit the subscribe button. Also hit the notification bell. When we come online like this and make a video, you'll be among the first set of people to see the video before others. And always remember, drop your contribution, ask questions, even call us to order where you feel we have misrepresented facts. Thank you and do have a very pleasant day. Bye.